Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending our first ever State of the District address here in Clarenceville School District. I want to thank the high school administration and the staff for hosting this event for us this evening. And I'd like to take a moment to just introduce the members of our school board who are with us tonight, as well as some of my administrative team. So, board members, President, could just give a wave so people can see who you are. We have Mr. Matthew Betcher, board president, here tonight. We have Mr. Mark Brooks, who is our vice president, Mrs. Sharon Simpson, board secretary, and Mrs. Cindy Immonen, our board trustee, one of them. They're all in the front row, so pressure's on. Administrative team members here tonight, you just give a wave as well. Mr. Dave Bergeron, Assistant Superintendent, in charge of Business and Support Services, behind in the back table. Mrs. Carol Anthony, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment in the back table there. And Mr. Neil Thomas, Director of Special Education and Student Services, is here with us this evening as well. And then we have Mr. Troy Nelson, the high school principal, and Miss Wendy Callahan, middle school principal, Mr. Kevin Murphy, our district athletic director and middle school assistant principal, and Mr. Joe Schiffman, principal of Botsford, and Renee Valentine, principal of Grandview Elementary. And also Mr. John Woolston is here tonight, Transportation and Facilities Manager. Thank you all for being here. And to the rest of you who braved this weather tonight to be here, I greatly appreciate it. As I was preparing for this address tonight, I looked back at these past 10, 11 months as the job of superintendent, and I was wondering out loud to myself, what was I thinking? Not really. I've been wondering, mostly, it's been more like, where did the time go? When you enjoy challenges and the work that you do, making a difference for students, you kind of relish in those opportunities, and the difference that makes the time go by so fast. This is one busy job, I have found out. In preparing for this first State of the District address, I thought about what the purpose of the message might be. And through that process, I realized what I didn't want it to be. And that was a bunch of numbers and data that may or may not tell you anything about our district. So I'm going to try to stay away from too many numbers at all tonight and really focus in on people, ideas, and actions. So my message tonight will focus on the following areas. It's going to focus on where we began the year, what was done during this year, and what we will accomplish moving forward. We began the year under new leadership. Me being selected as the superintendent, Mr. Nelson taking over as the high school principal, Mrs. Valentine coming on as the new principal of Grandview, Mr. Thomas coming on as the director of Special Education Student Services, and Mr. Cantor coming on as the new assistant principal of the high school. That's a big shift. And we are all navigating our way through our first year in our new positions. With new leadership comes new ideas and new ways of doing things. It brings a fresh perspective to those positions. It basically brings change. Change is the new norm in education. Some people embrace change and others do not. I have found the secret to making positive change is to focus on building the new instead of trying to save the old. So I began the year with a welcome back speech to the entire district staff that had a message, a challenge if you will, that all means all when we are talking about student learning and student success. I talked to the entire district staff about how we are all dependent on one another, grade to grade, position to position, to make student success happen. I postured the belief that we all have had a hand in what our graduates look like, not just those who teach high school or teach seniors. Regarding that message and observing teachers and the staff live into it over these last 10 to 11 months has been very rewarding. We're not done. It's a process that needs to continue. Making that connection between what each of us does and how each of us talks when working with our students and one another matters. It matters and is connected to student success. I believe we all own our student successes and our student failures because we work in a continuum, a system that relies on what each of us does to help each student learn. Regarding the school improvement work being done this year in each building, I have to say that it's the best I've seen in my 11 years here in Clarenceville, especially when you factor in all of the other challenges facing us as educators during this time. Teachers and staff, please know that I realize how much we're putting on you day to day and the stress it brings. We all in education are feeling that stress. And that's why we need to continue to work towards believing in one another and to work on communicating better. You are more than up to the tasks. Through our district strategic plan and the school improvement process in each building, we are getting closer and closer to reaching goals. And here are the goals. The first one is that we are implementing initiatives that are going to help us provide all students with equitable access to rigorous curriculum, with aligned instructional materials and assessments in all subjects and all grade levels. So what does that really mean to us in the field? We've begun this work. We've adopted the curriculum for the Common Core. We're purchasing materials and tools for our students and teachers to use in that adoption and alignment of that new curriculum. This, again, is not something that happens just overnight. It takes time to build and to learn from one another to improve. We also ordered and had in Chromebook sets in the middle school and in the 2 elementaries, classroom sets to help us with that wonderful state testing that you all have heard so much about over the last few months that continues until about June 5th in the elementaries, called the M-STEP. Without that technology improvement, doing what we're doing would have been probably impossible. So thank you to the board for allowing us to implement those types of changes with our technology tools. The second goal is to communicate effectively with all district stakeholders. This is one of the goals that we really took a lot of time and effort to try to improve upon in multiple areas. And some of the strategic initiatives that we focused on, you see before you on this slide, although it keeps fluttering like that, was just, we have to improve, and we know this. We have to improve on being able to create dialogues between buildings, staff members, parents and students, administration, and the community administration in all the buildings. And we're working towards that each and every day. And it began this year with the administration team getting some focused professional development on what that might look like and how we can create internal and external processes that will help us better do our job in terms of communication. The third goal in our district strategic plan is the development of infrastructure to support student success. And this is a very large goal that has multiple strategic initiatives in it. And this slide outlines what those are in terms of building that. Oh, excuse me, that's the third one still. We're speaking to this right now on the multi-tiered and the discipline and the external partnerships and the budget building and then the integration of technology to the district. All of these are of itself huge shifts of work that we have to do in order to streamline and make it better and easier for not just teachers and administrators but for parents and students to access and use, which will then obviously help us in the areas of communication. And then we get to goal 4, which is that culture piece, trying to make a change in our student culture, building by building, district-wide, where students own their learning, are proud of their learning, and that we recognize their learning, as well as teachers and those others who step out of their comfort zones to learn new and better instructional practices. So why we do all of these, and some of these things that we're doing will lead us into these strategic initiatives, especially the data piece, and then lastly, in the last bullet, the ability to brand ourselves. We're in a very competitive market these days. Education is way different than it used to be, with schools of choice, with funding, with what kinds of programs you can offer. We have to try to continually upgrade ourselves to make sure that we are giving our students the very best that we can, and that it allows them to then grow and go to the next level prepared. So in order to do that, we have to build an infrastructure that will allow that. As part of that plan this year, we started by having this superintendent's teacher leadership team that met and will continue to meet to try to work on especially the marketing piece of our district. Next up, there will be a parent leadership team that I want to put together from every building over the summer to begin that work for this fall, which will focus on communication, better communication, as well as the marketing of our school district, because we have lots to be proud of. And then we have a parent and teacher combination type of team that will work with me just to keep abreast of the changes in the legislative laws, because they are changing very rapidly, and there are numerous new laws coming down the pipe that we have to be aware of, and so that we understand why changes are being made when they have to be made, which the normal person might not know why. So if we can keep people more informed in that area, it will definitely help us. And what are all these strategic goals for? Well, they're for our targeted outcomes, and these are the big things that we want to really start to focus in on and ask questions about, and make sure that we're doing the right things to achieve these, and start tracking this kind of information, which our district strategic plan is put in place for, which is the reading at grade level at the end of grade 3. Our students should be able to read at the end of grade 3 at that grade level. Preparing our middle school students at the end of grade 5, preparing grade 5 students to be ready to move into the middle school. Preparing for high school at the end of grade 8, so that they're coming to the school prepared to go at high school, much different than middle school. Being on track at the end of 9th grade to graduate in the 4-year period, which the state tracks for us as well when we get graded on. And then graduate, or being ready for college and career success at the end of grade 11. That equates up to the new SAT test and all of the other tests that are going to come with it, the M-STEP in 11th grade, the work keys in the 11th grade, and so on and so forth. And then graduating from high school in 4 years is the ultimate. We want the students to be working hard enough and owning their learning so that they can graduate on time. And if they graduate on time, they've done the work that we've given them, and they've learned along the way and been successful, then enrolling in the next level of their college, which could be many things besides just a 4-year university. It could be a technical school, and it could even be going into the job force, as long as we know that we prepared them well for that. Those are our targeted outcomes. That is what we want to be all about. Those are the places we want to improve. And to reach those targeted outcomes and accomplish our goals, we need to continue to transition the school district from a culture of isolation, where people work in isolation, to that of collaboration for both our teachers and our students. So this means that we need to continue to implement strategies that allow for each of us to share in the responsibility for learning. Each of us has to share in that responsibility. And then that will eventually change, which is a big piece for me, changing a culture from our kids can't do that to one of our kids can do that. I think that's a huge piece here in Clarenceville from my observations of the 11 years I've been here. We have to believe in our students, and then we have to give them the tools and the strategies to be successful, so that they have that attitude that I can do this. Our curriculum, obviously, to do that has become much more rigorous than it was just 3 years ago. Now it's about deep understanding of concepts. It's about real-world application and small group discussions. Those things have replaced literal level questioning. rote memorization and teacher lecture for hours. Teaching is moving towards being student-centered, them owning their work, owning their effort. Assessments have transitioned from multiple choice and fill-in-the-blank kind of questions to open-ended, short answer, short response, project-based, and essay type of questions, where students have to think critically and apply what they've learned in a sensible way. We will continue to move culturally towards making research-based decisions, where the data determines whether or not students have learned. We all have an opinion, and opinions are fine, but in today's legislative educational setting, to document and validate student learning, that's what we need to do. The current mantra of all means all when it comes to our student learning or student success needs to continue to permeate the culture within each school and across the district as a whole. And this is in the face of all challenges that we face as educators. The more rigorous content standards I mentioned, the changing state assessment from year to year, new evaluation tools for teachers and administrators, along with improving student and family engagement in their learning. But we all must deal with the challenges our families face too, which is poverty, that's growing rapidly in this area, wellness issues that our students have, actually our families have, and then a culture that can place barriers in the way of student success or their aspirations for success. So where did the year begin? What I've just spoken about is where we began the year. It's also where we are currently, because this is a process. It is an ever-changing process that has to be allowed to adapt to meet the challenges that are different each and every year, turning challenges into opportunities for all of us to get better at what we do so students can find more success. That's the bottom line, student success. So where are we? We're in the beginning stages of all of these plans, the district strategic plan, the transformation plan at the high school, the school improvement plans in each building. We are building the blocks of success through those plans, through working together on those plans, within those plans, by energizing our leaders, by empowering our teachers, by engaging our students, and then actually at the very end, it's enlightening our community. Tonight is one of those nights, hopefully. What I've sought to do over the past few months as your superintendent is to work with the school board, the administrative team, the teachers, and the staff to build a foundation that will begin to take us through these plans in a way that we will support one another during this time. All means all is not just a mantra. It needs to turn into the new Clarenceville norm. We must continue to work towards creating a system that does not create winners and losers in classrooms. We must continue to work to get our students to have a better understanding of how hard they have to work in order to master the material that is put before them, so that will prepare them for the next level. To do all of these things, we must continue to work with our teachers to rid ourselves of the teach, test, and move on kind of philosophy. That is an old model, kind of like the factory model back in the day of instruction, and that is no more. What have we done or accomplished during these last few months? Well, the high school, who has been targeted as a priority school, has been working a tremendous amount of hours above and beyond the regular school day with groups of teachers, teams of teachers, and administrators working together to make a plan that would be accepted by the state, and I'm proud to say that it was accepted by the state of Michigan, the Michigan Department of Ed, that will lead to improved student learning. So through all of that work, they've created a plan of action. And through that plan of action, the whole face of the high school is about to change. How we do business, the why we do what we do, and hopefully it'll reflect in the communication and the teaching and learning going on in the building. I'm proud of the work that the high school has done to date, but I'm more so looking forward to the work that they're going to do starting in the fall, and more importantly, the results from that work that we will see. The middle school continues to work day in and day out on their school improvement planning, mining the data of their students, and making adjustments as needed. Behind their teacher leaders, the middle school was awarded several grants over the last year from last summer to now. To name a few, the Project Healthy Schools grant was gotten by them, and that has led to a whole different slew of activities and events in the building. It's qualifying for the First Lady, Michelle Obama's Healthy Eating grant. They allowed the middle school to receive 1 of 17 new salad bars for their cafeteria, which I'm sure the students and teachers are excited about. And the middle school received a STEM grant this past summer that led to many great things throughout this school year. A couple of those things, all of them including students, of course. The year began with 4 students attending the AT&T McCall Student Technology Showcase in Lansing, where they presented in front of the governor and several hundreds of other people, state representatives and senators among them. The middle school also had their first VEX robotics team this year, and they competed for the first time in the Open Schools Robotics Tournament. First time out, placed 3rd, and then took home the quality award to boot. So I think our students can do that. I think if we allow them to, if we give them the tools to, if we tell them they can, then I think that message will come out loud and clear. Also, the McCall Conference at Coble Hall was held this year, as it is in different places around the state each year, and we had 8 middle school students attend that and show off how we in Clarenceville at the middle school level are starting to demonstrate that technology-enhanced learning in the curriculum can take place and how it makes learning much more integrated with technology. And they did that through showcasing their Minecraft class that they're working with and their Lego movie makers that students are integrating into the curriculum. These are exciting things going on that aren't going on in a lot of bigger districts and a lot of smaller districts, but they're going on here at Clarenceville Middle School. And on either side of the middle school, both the elementary and the high school, it is also taking place slowly but surely across the board. And lastly, the middle school also got another grant this year called the Hour of Code from Kidpreneur. And they came in for a time period of a day and worked with our students, 30 of them, showing them how to code. And coding is going to be, well, is exploding across the world actually right now into the job market. So it is definitely a 21st century skill. And our students were able to experience that. Bonsford Elementary, Granville Elementary have both stepped up their game this year. I'm so proud of how much the teachers have taken to technology at their different grade levels and infused and integrated technology into their lessons, use that to help students learn. They're also showing their dedication because they took on a big project this year and did it so very quickly when they moved to standards-based report cards. Reporting in a standards-based manner is critical for parents to understand much better where their students are at inside of that grade level. So kudos to the teachers and the leaders of those buildings for that. And of course, they continue to impress with their partnerships with their FOG and BEST teams. And they do so much for students at those levels. Just as for instance, being at both the art fair and science fair and ice cream socials at both buildings, the turnout was spectacular. I mean, it was standing room only, and the work the students did in the science and art fair area was something to behold. So good things are happening across the district. So we have taken Clarenceville School District and we've implemented this district-wide focus on student learning. And we've done that through teaching our teachers through our professional development about close and critical reading, a key strategy to help all students in all grades learn to read better and more intentional. And then, of course, you've heard me talk recently now about this technology integration that we're doing across the district as well. So here's some of the things that we've put into place for our teachers and our students that you may or may not be aware of, that all buildings have access to a close and critical reading coach that comes in and helps teachers with that strategy and how to implement that strategy in their curriculum. We also provide an instructional coach for all of our non-tenured teachers to help them with their teaching. We also have obviously we're working from a very consistent, all of our staffs in each building go to a certain PD called FSI, which is on school improvement. So they talk the same language, they're working on the same plans. That makes it more systemic through the district. We also have a technology integration coach that works with all of our teachers to help them integrate new technologies into their classrooms. And then, of course, you heard me mention earlier that we purchased 3 sets of Chromebooks, classroom sets of Chromebooks for the elementary buildings and the middle school. So we have been doing all of those things, and we are partnering with Oakland Schools at the high school level mainly right now for our priority school planning. And they have provided us with all kinds of consultants and coaches to help us going into next year with our plan and the implementation of that. I'm excited to say that we're also going to begin a new endeavor next fall for our K-8 system called Cultures of Thinking. It is a new philosophy that will promote many of the things I just talked about in terms of the critical thinking aspect of learning. So teachers will be getting professionally developed in that area to bring that to all of their grades. The district is developing the talents of our teachers and administrators each and every day, each and every year. And we do that through what we can offer them in our professional development opportunities. Going back to one of the major points of emphasis this year was the improved communication. And I wanted to just talk quickly about a couple of points that show that we're moving in the right direction in that area, as evidenced by the new website that we designed and created and put out there. We've gotten really good feedback on our website. And we're not done yet with that aspect of having teachers join us in that website creation. We also have our district Facebook page, which seems like every time we get an update, we have more and more people coming in and liking that page and becoming part of the Clarenceville community and being aware about it. And then I started almost a weekly communication to the entire district and or the district teaching staff each Friday, called the Friday Message, trying to send messages much about what we're doing and, of course, trying to motivate and inspire them to do their very best. And, of course, at the end of what are we doing to communicate with parents, besides all of the normal things that we do, here I stand before you tonight as the State of the District Address for the first time, trying to outline some of these things in a very short amount of time. So our district has been shown to be well-rounded. It provides a great learning experience for all levels. And we have a caring and quality staff. It starts early. Our early childhood programs, they are rated 4 stars out of 5 right now in the state, based on the Oakland Schools consultants coming down and evaluating our program. And we've been providing quality services to preschool children for 22 years, and this will be the 20th year where we have an early childhood summer program. Some of those things are really kind of a great secret that not many people know about, but those that take advantage of it really have great reviews of it. We also have our GSRP, or what we call our Great Start Readiness Program. We expanded that program this year to 2 full-day classrooms. What this class does, these classes do, is helps those young ones get ready. Their readiness levels for learning are increased, and we've seen huge learning gains for our students coming into kindergarten based on this program and what it does. Probably one of the big things that people want to know is how are we doing financially? That's always a big piece because finances are what help us do all the things that we've mentioned. And being good stewards of the money, the budget, is what really allows us to do the work that we do, and that takes planning. Despite ongoing financial challenges that we, I think, are aware of, the lack of state funding being probably number one, and more recently, our enrollment is an issue for us. Because we get our funding through the number of students that attend our school. So our enrollment is our largest revenue, if you will, of our, which I hate to use the word business, because education to me is about people, not a business. But this is the business side of education, and it is about revenue, and it is about student enrollment. So through all of that, the ups and downs of the finances, the ups and downs of the enrollment, I'm able to stand in front of you tonight and tell you that Clarenceville School District is financially sound. We are doing as well as can be expected, and that this area of finance will continually be one of our top challenges going forward. There's no question that financial security for our district is the key to everything in terms of programs that you want your students to have, and the experiences that those programs allow your students to have can only happen if we budget correctly and we do the right things with the revenues we take in. Some of what we do, the district has continued to invest in the upgrades and renovations Through the generous support of the Clarenceville school community, the sinking fund has been providing funding to continue classroom improvements every summer and the improvements of our athletic facilities. Most recently, obviously, the baseball, softball diamonds have been, well, not upgraded, they're brand new. And then, of course, along with that came the soccer practice fields. Those are the most recent things we've done. Shifting over to being a small district of 4.5 square miles, but we do have a transportation department, and that continues to get the job done. 84,000 miles this year on our buses. Believe that. Not one mishap. And with all that wear and tear, 100% of our buses pass the state inspection. Once again, that is a huge shout out, kudos to the transportation department for the work that they do. It's not like we have 12 mechanics and we got one. So he's working and he's working hard and he's obviously doing a really good job. And everybody pitches in at the transportation department to make it be the success it is for our kids. They're the first things, those yellow buses and those people on them, those drivers, first thing that our kids see at the end in the beginning of the day is the last thing they see as they get let off. So they play a key role in our success. Our maintenance department, again, small but mighty, very organized, very well run, and they get the job done. They learn how to prioritize and be efficient in what they do. So I wanted to just give a shout out to them for all of their work. The last 10, 11 months, I've worked to continue to put Clarenceville out there as a school district that we are proud of, that I am proud of. And I do that through meeting with multiple other superintendents in the Tri-County area, state and national politicians I've met with, our local nonprofit people like the Kiwanis, the Chamber of Commerce, the Optimists, the Rotary. It's important to let others know that we exist and what a good job we do for the students of our area. And that we brag a little bit about what it is we do and how well we do it. What will we accomplish moving forward? Well, no one has a crystal ball, so it's very difficult to say for sure, but I can tell you these things, that we're going to work closely together, Board of Education, the administrative team, teachers and staff. We're going to continue to work together on the plans that we believe will lead the district in the right direction and that will improve our student learning. That is the focus. And we'll do that because we're going to continue to integrate technology into our classrooms. We're going to create a culture in our district, in each building, where both student and teacher learning is respected by all who work and attend our schools. We will continue to work collaboratively through trust building to improve our communications with one another so that all voices can be heard in this district. And over time, we're going to create a new definition of what Clarenceville's Trojan Pride really means. What it means to be a student here, what it means to be a teacher here, what it means to be a staff member, administrator, board member, or even a community member of the Clarenceville School District. We must evolve and we must continue to strive to become better. And we're going to build and do these things by stressing and building on our positives, and we're going to work together to overcome our challenges. So if you're a parent in the audience tonight who has school-age children, I say to you tonight, stay with us. And if you're not with us yet, come join us. Because we're about to embark on the best learning journey a student can be a part of. We're going to continue to make those improvements I've talked about at all levels, and your children will be a part of 21st century learning opportunities that we're going to provide. We're going to take the best of what a small school setting can offer, and we're going to build on it to make it even better over the next few years. Now is the time to keep your children in the Clarenceville School District, and now is the time to bring your children to the Clarenceville School District. This is a new time in education. It's been that way for quite a few years, but it keeps getting newer because they keep making changes. And therefore, it's a new time in the Clarenceville School District as well. We can no longer continue to do what we have always done and think that people are going to accept those results. We must continue to push ourselves to be our best, and so that our students will see that and push themselves to be their best. So we're going to work to improve ourselves and each other, and that begins by making a commitment to excellence, a commitment to coming together and working together, a commitment to treating one another respectfully in our interactions, a commitment to honoring our roles and fulfilling them to the best of our ability to move this good district into becoming a great district. If we can do these things together, then we will indeed be able to energize our leaders, empower our teachers, engage our students, and enlighten our community. Thank you for coming out tonight. Have a great evening. I will definitely stick around if you have some individual questions that you'd like to ask. I'm an open book. Come on up and I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you.